Hey guys, Michael here, and today we've got a review of Tomb Raider, the reboot of the Tomb Raider franchise for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. Raiding tombs has gained relevancy again throughout the past few years, but not from our usual Lara Croft. The Uncharted franchise exploded onto the gaming scene, forever changing games and raising the bar exponentially for games of its ilk. Putting the teacher in the student's chair, Tomb Raider needed something to remain in people's minds, and a reboot was the idea brought to fruition. This new Lara has little experience and isn't as confident, and even though her game is still playing second fiddle to Drake, it is still a title we're sinking time into. Fresh off gaining her degree in college, Lara's premier voyage is to study and visit the lost kingdom of Yamatai. Unfortunately for Lara and her crew, these cast-offs are shipwrecked on a dangerous island in the Dragon's Triangle. Surviving and finding a way off the island becomes a priority, and things only get more complicated as the island and its inhabitants reveal their savage nature. The story here maintains a great pace, along with having a few predictable twists and genuinely cool moments, but it all contains a group of characters that aren't worth caring about. Each falls into a stereotype that doesn't go beyond that because of their flat dialogue and puddle-like depth. This makes it way more difficult to care when these losers get tossed into the fire, which sucks some of the drama out of a lot of the scenarios.
I promise, Sam.
Hey, she just... Oh no!
Sam? Sam! Help me! Stay away from her, you bastard! Stay away!
Antagonists are similarly lame, with a group of them being completely stupid. I can't spoil it, but the direction that brings these guys into the mix feels way too stupid and fails to become justified other than the just because reason. This factors into the ending, which is just pure contrived stupidity, and makes the game leave on a sour note. Lara, however, does grow in a convincing fashion. She starts out being annoying in her whiny novice ways, but quickly grows a pair and inches closer to the traditional Lara Croft. It might be too quick of a transition for some, but her arc is appreciated and hopefully we'll see the rest of it in a sequel. However, the combat isn't as appreciated. Lara doesn't lock onto targets anymore, subbing in cover-based shooting in favor of the old targeting. Although it is hard to say cover-based since there isn't really a cover button. Lara always ducks and automatically takes cover when behind a wall, but the lack of magnetization doesn't feel as satisfying. It always feels a little wonky, especially since it can be a little difficult to realize whether or not you are actually out of danger. Aiming is clumsy as well, since acceleration for aiming never feels quite right. Just a slight nudge of the analog stick can send the reticule flying, making it hard to nail tough shots. This is partly remedied by the upgrade system, which is solid enough in its own right. Finding weapon parts allows for weapons to gain better stats, along with changing the physical look of each firearm. As if that wasn't enough, new story-related gear gets unlocked at a gratifying pace. All of these upgrades allow for the player to always look forward to progressing, since it means adding one more ability to the ever-growing collection. Puzzle solving is similarly split, mainly because they are too simplistic and brief. You walk into a room, notice the few interactive points, and quickly solve it and move on. None of them take more than a few minutes, and consequently mean they aren't too satisfying to actually complete. It feels as though Crystal Dynamics didn't want to allow the player to be stuck, in fear of slowing down the steady, satisfying pace. Platforming is Lara's final trick, and is the most successful even though it's rather standard in theory. Uncharted is the best analogous to climbing here, meaning Lara can scurry on different natural jungle gyms to traverse each area. It doesn't demand much skill, but the impressive part comes from the scale. Nothing is ever sturdy on this island, which leads to many instances where you must climb for your life, and it always looks astounding. The way in which these environments break apart and shift while you navigate them almost negates that some of them are poorly designed and lead to multiple cheap deaths. Multiplayer has been included in Tomb Raider, but you won't want to spend any time with it unless you really hate yourself. It has the usual RPG leveling mechanics and modes that almost every game has, but the simple act of playing just isn't any fun and feels broken most of the time. It has no nuance, lacks any sort of polish, and looks really ugly, so it doesn't really give any compelling reason to load up this part of the game. It's the most tacked on multiplayer since Bioshock 2, and the only cool thing I can say about it is this sweet freaking menu. While I mentioned that the online portion of Tomb Raider was ugly, the campaign is far from that. This island is absolutely gorgeous in its variety of locales, each looking distinct but equally as pretty. The texture work is fantastic and the attention to detail within these ancient environments is worth appreciating from time to time. Characters don't hold up well under examination due to some stiff animations and lower poly count, but overall, the single player here is gorgeous. When broken down, Tomb Raider doesn't sound too appealing. Each system isn't perfect, and Uncharted does everything more elegantly, but Tomb Raider proves that you don't need to beat the competition in order to be a good experience. Tomb Raider is solid on its own merits, even if it doesn't take home the gold treasure in any particular category. Lara is still in second place, but a silver medal isn't a disgraceful piece of hardware. I wrote all of the review for Tomb Raider on the site. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it's still pretty good. I think people should try it out. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. And goodbye.